Hello, my name is Dan Griffith. I'm running for the Court of Appeals here in Minnesota. Just a little bit of background. I've been married now for 19 years. My wife and I just celebrated that anniversary June 1st. And we have 4 boys, 4 children. A little bit earlier, somebody was asking me, well, why are you doing this? Why are you running? You know, as an attorney, it's a whole lot easier just to practice, probably do a lot better financially, than to be challenging this system where only the incumbents have won for over the last 50 years. But there's a reason why. Part of it is, and we've heard a little bit of talk about our military experience. I've also served in the Army. And you know, when we take that oath to follow our Constitution. In fact, what it says is that we will defend our Constitution from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And our Constitution is quite clear here in Minnesota. It says, quote, judges shall be elected by the voters. Why? Because we want our leaders to be accountable to us, the people. That's actually why we're here. And you know, I was listening to the gentleman who was going down the different things that are unique to the Hmong community, and it made me think of, you know, talking to someone a little bit earlier today. And you know what is the solution to a lot of those things? We need to get back to the family. We really need to get back to that. You know, we all come from different places in this country. I made up of so many different things, I don't even know what they all are. I know I'm part Norwegian, I may even be part Irish, I'm told, because of my last name. I know I'm part German, Scandinavian, who knows what else. But you know what I am 100% of? I'm American. And I'm thankful for you. You know, Benjamin Franklin, when he signed our Declaration of Independence, he said, you know, gentlemen, we must certainly hang together, or we will most certainly hang separately. And that is really what we need to do here. And when I listen to those unique problems, we need to address them as Americans. That you're not a Hmong American, you're an American. If you're here, you're American. You're part of our country. We want you to be caring about what's going on in this nation, and obviously you do, and that's why you're here. We talk about jobs. You know how you get jobs? When I hear politicians, and I don't mean to deface anybody here, because I know the people here, and they really work hard, mean well, and will do well if you put them in office. But what made this country unique is we understood that government was supposed to be limited. In fact, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote our Declaration of Independence, says, in my reading of history, all bad government results from too much government. Where government governs best, that governs least. That's what we need to get. You know how you want to help jobs? Stop penalizing people who want to work. Stop taxing them to death. Stop regulating them to death. Yes, we need a reasonable amount of regulation, but that's what it is. It's reasonable. Now, why am I running for judge then, talking about this? I'm sounding like a congressman. Well, I'll tell you why. Because the document that limits our government is called our Constitution. And there is only one branch of government that tells us what it means, and that's the judicial branch. Now, I mentioned earlier the importance of the family. In California, the people and the voters in California said, we believe that the definition of the family and definition of marriage should be what has always traditionally been, because that has been a working model that has worked for thousands of years. Man, woman, children. That's what they said. It's called Proposition 8. It went through the whole amendment process, but guess what? One judge, after it went through that whole process, said, oh no you don't, I'm going to hold that unconstitutional. Well, if one judge has the power to tell the whole people of California that we don't care what you know, as a judge, I don't care what you think, I'm simply going to overrule you, then what branch of government do we need to be paying attention to? Who should we be watching? The executive branch is important, and pay attention to that branch. The legislative branch is very important, and please pay attention to that branch, but if we ignore the judicial branch, we still lose, because that branch can overturn the other two. That's why I'm running for this office. We need accountability in the judicial branch. We need to keep the right to vote. And if there's one thing that you can remember when you go to the polls, and please tell your friends and your family, those of us who are challenging, the challengers for these judicial offices, we are fighting so you can keep your vote and so you can vote intelligently, so you actually know who you're voting for when it comes to the judges. And I am sorry to say that the incumbent judges are all the way on the other side. So if you can't remember anything else, when you see that little incumbency tag, vote for the other person. Thank you. Again, my name is Dave Griffith, running for the Court of Appeals.
Mr. Greg Wassoff, candidate for Supreme Court Justice.
Good evening. My name is Greg Wursel. I'm a candidate for the Minnesota Supreme Court. It's a great honor to be here tonight. I very much appreciate the fact that you invited us here tonight. I'm running for the Minnesota Supreme Court. And I heard what you said. You want opportunity and you want justice before the law. And those things, I promise you that if you come before my court, I will listen to what you have to say. I will be patient. And I will make sure that you get justice. Now, part of opportunity, though, I come from an immigrant family as well, and I understand that you desire opportunity. I have also practiced law for 30 years in the metro area, and I have met many of the lawyers from the Hmong community. But ladies and gentlemen, we do not have any judges yet from the Hmong community. And one has to ask why. Well, I'll tell you what part of the problem is. The election system that is supposed to be in place for people, for attorneys to run to become judges does not work. And it does not work because our Minnesota Supreme Court created rules that made it almost impossible for any attorney to run for these positions. And so they created rules that made sure the incumbents would win election after election after election. Now, I have worked for 15 years, the better part of 15 years, to try to open up judicial elections so that candidates can run for these positions. It was so elementary that at one point in time, the Minnesota Supreme Court had actually created a rule that forbid judicial candidates to discuss their views on the law. Now, if you can't talk about the law, whatever would you say? But now we can do those things, and I am looking forward to seeing more Hmong candidates run for judges. But I want you to understand that our Minnesota Supreme Court is not done trying to keep this from happening. They are pushing a constitutional amendment through our legislature that would take away everyone's right to vote for judges. And the judges would then become unaccountable. And if they go to an appointment process, then it will be impossible for Hmong lawyers to run for these positions. Now, you know and I know that to have true justice, we need Hmong lawyers and we need Hmong judges. I hope you will support me this fall because I believe in your right to vote. I believe in your right to hold judges accountable. I believe in your right to elect attorneys from your community to become judges. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Krisha Woodall, Senate District 67. She's a candidate for the East Side.
Thank you, Tufan. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. And good evening, dear members of the 18 Hmong community and fellow candidates. My name is Krisha Woodall, and I am running for State Senate in District 67, which is the east side of St. Paul. It's the Phelan, Upper East Side, Mounds Boulevard, Battle Creek area. It is truly an honor for me to speak with you today. I've had the fortunate experience over the years of meeting and getting to know a lot of the Hmong community since I became a resident of the east side 6 years ago. And as I became more familiar with the values and the strengths of your wonderful community, I realized that your conservative values and your determination to create a better life for yourselves and your future generations were directly in line with the same values that were instilled in me as a child, being raised by my incredible, loving parents. Family values and sustaining the Hmong cultural heritage is imperative to the success of the Hmong community. And these values are in jeopardy of being destroyed by the liberal movements that aim to dissolve your family control, your autonomy, and your self-determination. Voting for candidates that represent your values will ensure that your voice will resonate in the halls of our state capitol. Thank you. I entered the state Senate race because I love St. Paul, Minnesota, and I love the United States of America. And in these times of economic uncertainty, joblessness, and the threats against our constitutional values, I, Krisha Weidel, vow to change the way business is done at our state legislature. We are facing serious problems, and unless we face these issues honestly, cohesively, and responsibly, we are destined to continue down the same road of leaving our children and our grandchildren with more debt and lives less prosperous than we currently have. I don't believe this is what you want for your families. I know I don't. On another note, I know the Hmong community knows all about sacrifice and have even sacrificed with their lives, as mentioned earlier in the secret wars, in order to protect their families, their freedoms, and their country. As the wife of a United States Marine Corps captain willing to put his life on the line to protect our country, I must take a moment to thank and acknowledge the military sacrifices and the lives lost during those secret wars in order to support our American military efforts. Special attention and thanks needs to go out to General Vang Pao, whose vision to maintain the Hmong's reputation and respect throughout the world to achieve a better education and a brighter future for his people, and his sacrifices are a banner of honor for all others to follow. So thank you. Now these values and beliefs that we talked about, or that I talked about, I'm sorry, these values and beliefs that all people should be free to choose their destiny without fear of oppression or retaliation are the fabric woven into our nation's strength. That's why you came to the United States. And these values that are intrinsic and inherent qualities of the Hmong people must be preserved and protected at all cost. Thank you. As your next state senator, I vow to protect and support the Hmong community under the laws of our United States Constitution. As mentioned earlier, socialism is going to be the death of our nation's sovereignty. A nation built on the principles of our founding fathers cannot sustain itself when children are being raised without fathers in the home, when parents are out of work and they are unable to provide the basic necessities to provide for their families, and when children and women are trapped in a flawed welfare system that needs to stop. We cannot allow the next District 67 state senator to continue down this same path of destruction that's currently being administered upon the citizens of St. Paul. You deserve better. The Hmong people deserve a representative voice in the state senate that will listen to their needs, understand their concerns, and offer clear, concise plans to address and rectify those challenges that were discussed earlier that I noted, and I will fight to make sure those are addressed as best that I can, and my door will always be open. And I know that as a senator I can't create jobs. What I can do as your senator is to work to cut taxes and to cut the excessive regulations that are making business so hard to do in Minnesota. This will make it easier for you and all Minnesotans to grow your business, create new jobs, and make your families wealthier. Yes, I said it, wealthier. I hope today that I gain the support and confidence of the Hmong community by helping me become the next District 67 state senator. I thank you again for your time and your contributions to not only the state of Minnesota, but the United States of America. I hope you will vote for me, Krisha Weidel, as your next state senator on November 2nd. Thank you and God bless you.